present risks, Initiative 591.
Okay, this is one of my favorite topics, if you haven't heard me talk on this. Okay, we all know 594 is bad. It claims that it's going to control gun sales at gun shows. It does far more than that. It says that my daughter and her best friend can't shoot on my property without federal background checks, paying usage fees, and a 10-day waiting period. And when they give those back to me at the end of their little plinking session, I have to go through a federal background check, pay the fees, and go through a 10-day waiting period. It's ridiculous, okay? So we all know that one's bad. 591 though, they put this out there in response to that and said, this is if we get everybody to vote for this one, we can negate it at the state level, and I'll get to that in a second. What 591 says, it's only one page. And as Clint said in section 2, it has this little weasel clause. It says, we're gonna hold on to all of our states' rights, we're gonna hold on to all of our gun rights, unless a uniform national standard is required. Now what Clint said was that could be some national law. It can also be an executive order. It can be a code, like our building codes that are done by an association that somehow a jurisdiction just decides they're going to adopt. It can be another unconstitutional mandate from Congress. It can be an international treaty. All of those would create a uniform national standard. And if any one of those things happens, it trumps our states' rights. Okay, so on the face of it, 591 gives up our gun rights in Washington state. Now the argument is that because we're going to have these two different bills, that they're going to compete, and if we can get both of them to pass, they're going to negate each other in the courts. There is no provision in our Constitution for the negation of an initiative. It doesn't exist. What happens is, it goes to the courts, and the courts decide on the merits of it, what was the intent of the voters, do they actually conflict? They go through this whole series of things, and let me remind you, the state Supreme Court here in Washington is very liberal. Who do you think they're going to side with? It's not going to be us gun owners. So the whole face, the premise that's being put out there, why we needed 591, doesn't exist. And unfortunately, all of your gun rights groups are supporting it. And I don't know why. Simply from the basic reading of your state constitution on initiatives and referendum and the reading of the bill itself, there is no reason we should be supporting this at all. So, vote no on both, please, please. This will affect us, and no matter what happens, even if we pass 591 and it goes to the court and by the grace of God they vote our way, it will still go down in Washington history as that the Washington voters decided to give up their gun rights. That's the way it's going to read. They don't care what the intent is. They don't care that it was done in response to something worse. History is just going to say that we voted against our gun rights. So, please don't do that. I beg of you.